All right, we have a little bit of time for questions and answers. I actually finished a little bit sooner than I thought. I was thinking we'd have maybe 30 minutes, but we got maybe 40. Yes?
It's not a question, because I would like to thank you a lot for your lecture. Because
Thank you.
You said about people more and more, that people are important in organization. And it's a pity I don't work in hospital, because you have a possibility to be in process of improvement with support of results.
Thank you. So I said I come from manufacturing. You can get good results in manufacturing too. Toyota is a good example. The other benchmark companies that we go in, OC Tanner and Autoliv, we featured them because they are ones that keep getting better.
Did in lean management for years, because it's very nice for people engaging,
Yes.
and it's very, very nice that Medicover has this possibility to be to improve our culture, business culture, to this kind of part.
Good, thank you. Great feedback.
So what are the, if you can just bring, the table, kind of the examples of failures in implementing lean in a hospital?
I will show. Okay, I'm going to tell you the story of the two pioneer hospitals in the United States that adopted lean and did it fairly successfully and became subjects of study for other hospitals. One is called Virginia Mason. I don't know if you've heard of Virginia Mason. And the other is Healthcare. In both cases, the two cases are almost identical, and the problems that they faced are almost identical. But both of them had this wonderful improvement in efficiency and effectiveness and in safety and in all the results they got. And then the CEO retired in the case of Virginia Mason, Gary Kaplan, in the case of Healthcare, John Toussaint, and the results declined. They were not sustained. It was very much like the Shingo prize winners I showed you earlier, where we had some that kept getting better and some that didn't. So far, we haven't had any hospitals that have kept getting better. And the big thing is what happened at both of those is when the board of directors chose a new CEO, they charged the CEO with coming in and changing things. And so then they selected a CEO whose mission was to change things, not to keep improving things, but to change things. And they changed the good things and made them bad things again. And so they went like this. And so one of the things that Catalysis has focused on is providing consulting services to the board of directors, so that they are involved with this improvement effort. And over time, they can choose the next CEO of the hospital that will keep the improvements going. And so one of the biggest failures, if you will, in healthcare is succession. Yes, succession planning. Bad succession planning. And I'm good friends with John Toussaint, and he's written 3 books and done wonderful things with Healthcare, to where they were kind of the showcase. And a lot of different hospitals around the country went there to study Healthcare. And he looks back now and he's just sad because his legacy, what he worked so hard to build in Healthcare, was destroyed in a few years by the next CEO. So start with that as make sure you create a good system for succession planning that will allow sustainability over time. That's one example I can share with you.
Another challenge that I see it's the challenge in terms of the short term. I fully agree with the statement that good quality does not mean higher cost. Long term it's efficient and the only way. problem is that we have to also, as the management of the commercial company, have to face the short-term P&L effect. Yes?
Yes.
This is something that usually it's also a kind of a challenge for us, because usually at the beginning, it can cause, a bit of disturbance in terms of your financial performance.
And that's pretty common. But if you understand the long-term impact that it can have, think of it as an investment, and compare that to an investment in a piece of equipment. Well, you hope the piece of equipment will also give you better results and will eventually reduce costs. But think of it as an investment, in this case, that has a fairly good rate of return over time. And hopefully you can achieve that. Get their help to do that. Okay. I'm pointing to these two right here. Okay, good. Yes, sir.
I have a comment. I'm not fully agree with this failure with the bad CEO. I think that maybe there is a implementation of the culture in the organization.
Yes.
Because I think that the good culture and good organization could sustain that CEO.
So I'll give you an alternative. Okay, this is a hospital. It's not just a hospital. What do they call it? Public health system. So it has a main big hospital, but it also has various clinics around that, and also some emergency care units around that. Okay, and it's called Denver Public Health. And they chose the next. So the leader of that group. They actually were a Shingo recipient 5 or 6 years ago. And then the CEO retired. Her name is Patty Gabo. She's also a physician, very engaged in it. But they chose the new CEO from internally. So that person was used to all of the systems and kept supporting them as the systems continued. So we've seen an example of a succession that worked well in the case of Denver Health, and two that didn't go so well, Virginia Mason and Healthcare. Now, in terms of where they were at, they were pretty much all the same level. One kept getting better and two haven't. Now, have we seen, I'll step back because I want you to learn the bad lessons from manufacturing that we learned the hard way, okay? Don't make the same mistakes, in other words. We've seen CEO succession planning ruin lots of different manufacturing improvement efforts also. I've seen one case where the CEO changed and the new CEO tried to destroy it, tried to change everything, and lost the battle against the systems and the people and the culture that was embedded. And it was in one of our benchmark companies. By benchmark, those are the companies that kept getting better and better, and we went and studied them to find out why they were still better and better. And in this case, the new CEO and their board of directors felt that they were giving too much power and authority to the people, and said, "You've got to get control of that organization." And the CEO, the board kept saying this to the CEO, and the CEO said, "It's working. We're growing. We're improving our productivity by 15 to 20% per year. We're lowering our quality defects, and so on and so on." And they finally fired him because he was giving too much power to the people. And so they then got a new CEO and put the new CEO in place. And the new CEO's apparently I don't know this guy, okay? I know the guy that got fired really well, so I know the inside story there. But the new guy comes in, and from the people I know in the organization, they tell us, at first he says, "Well, we've got to take back control of this company," and they go, "The people are controlling what they should be controlling." And he goes, "What do you mean?" And so then they go through and they explained to him and brought him up to speed on all the things that they were doing that were supporting this productivity growth, the quality improvements, everything else that they were experiencing. And he went back and said to the board, "They're doing it the right way." So they converted him despite his charge to change things. So you can get to a point where the culture will dominate even an outside CEO who doesn't know what's going on. And we've seen it happen in that case. But normally what happens is it's not embedded and it's not strong enough yet to fight off that kind of outside pressure. But if you can get there, yes, it works. Does that help a little bit? Okay. It takes a lot of years. And that was a really, really good company with really, really good systems. And that's why they could make that argument and convert the CEO, even though the CEO was supposed to go in and change things and take back the power. So, other questions? Great question, though.
I have a question. Medicover is a very, very successful company. People in Medicover, they have no time. They are really busy. And what would be your advice to Medicover to start the Shingo journey or to operational excellence journey?
Well, the first thing to do is decide you're going to do it. I know, I mentioned that in the US, a lot of the hospitals decide to do it and then they say, well, who wants to do it? And like 2 people raise their hands, right? That's why you have 2 departments that are doing it and you have 15 to 20 that aren't. And the problem, to me, that's not the right way. That's the wrong way to do it. And the reason I say that is because then you're not all aligned around a common purpose and you're not all working together and you're not, to me, Kaizen is, and that's why we love that video so much, because that's the way I learned Kaizen. I don't know if you know my background, but I went and worked for a Japanese company for many years. And I lived in Japan, I speak Japanese. And so I learned Kaizen as Kaizen. I never heard the term continuous improvement until I moved back to the States and people were using continuous improvement. That's not what it means. So to me, I like Imai Sensei's video because to me, that's the way I learned it. It's everybody does Kaizen. And everybody, everywhere, all the time. And when you finish something, you start the next thing, and you're constantly trying to get better. And to me, that's exciting and fun. And I love to see that kind of engagement with people in organizations. And I can't see how Kaizen works without everybody being involved. To me, it just doesn't compute. And so I would say I have troubles with the volunteer thing, which is the way they tend to have done it in the States, right? Or the way they're doing it in the States right now. Don't do it on a volunteer thing. Everybody has to get together and say, we're all in. We're going to do this together. We're going to be all in. And you know, you choose your own rallying cry, okay? Like, and this is where the ones that I have seen that are doing it across the whole hospital or across the whole health system, the ones that are doing it the best are the ones who have decided we're all going to rally around do no harm. How do we get to do no harm? Or something like that. They have something that has unified them all in a purpose, a cause. They all have joined in this, and then they work together. And so it's not just one department. It's not just pharmacy or surgery or the emergency room or something like that. But they're all working together. And that, to me, is the way you should do it, not piecemeal, volunteer type of thing. Yeah, change, everybody, unify together and do it. And I think you'll see a lot of support. You'll see some things that happen in other places that go, oh, we should do that too. And you start getting this kind of friendly competition or cooperation, synergies that happen. And so I just think it works a lot better when everybody's doing it together than a few people doing it off on their own and they say, oh, well, they're doing it, so we don't need to worry about it. That's my first bit of advice. I'm worried about the way they do it in the States. I really am.
You mentioned about the 70% of the hospitals in the States that are doing something about the knee.
Yes.
Which is not surprising for me because basically this is a very competitive environment. Yeah?
Yes.
And in healthcare as well. How many hospitals, about the scale of the lean implementation in Europe, in your view, for today? It's much less than in States, or it's like only first, pioneers, or it's really
It's more pioneers still, but the different in different places. So the largest hospital group in Scotland is doing this system-wide. And for example, and they influence more of Scotland than any other hospital group. So right now you could say Scotland is kind of all in. Netherlands, there are 4 lead hospitals that are kind of benchmarking against each other, and they're inviting others to come join them.
Also not a surprise because the Holland is like a leader in terms of the quality of the public health.
Yeah, yes, and
What we know, no one is really best, no one is really 100% good, but Holland among the others are really good, looking really good.
yeah, Belgium is it's led by, there's one hospital, it's a university hospital in Brussels. I think it might even be called Brussels University Hospital, that has been the lead and has been attracting other hospitals throughout Belgium to what they're doing. The guy that has been the CEO there is a physician who is now doing kind of like what John Toussaint did and leaving the hospital to run the Healthcare network, benchmarking against each other in Belgium and in France. He's a French speaker, so he's also working in France. And Kim can connect you to all those people. Yeah, so Kim can connect you with all the different people, and once she'll have a much better idea of who's where. Scotland, I was really impressed with the group there, and they seem to be farther ahead than maybe the people in Netherlands or Belgium are yet. I'm going to go visit a hospital group, one of the top 4 in Ireland next week, that are also involved in the Healthcare network, and they invited me to.
Big version for us, please.
Yes.
Yeah. Instead, between the hospitals, that are doing something properly, is there any relation between the lean implemented properly and the other type of accreditation for the hospitals, like for example, joint commission or accreditations like that?
No, there's no different accreditation. There's no different certification. There are no different regulations for them at all. They all have to still maintain the same standards. Yeah, that's standard across. There is a lot of sharing going on, though, and there are those that there are several and a growing number, so that are doing it across the whole hospital as opposed to just testing it in a couple of departments. We're switching our research. Because we're involved with the research, and Catalysis is a sponsor of it too, so they're a research partner on this with the group that's at UC Berkeley. And that group is called CLEAR, and it's run by a professor whose name is Steve Shortell. So we are expanding the research starting this year to not just find out who's doing lean, but also to start tracking results. So if you're doing lean, what were your results before, and how has it changed once you started doing lean? And what we want to do, anecdotally, we know that they have reported that things have improved. But we want to start documenting the improvements because we think that will help motivate more departments in more hospitals to start accepting lean. And so we're going to be able to start publishing some things around that starting this summer, we think. We'll get the initial results in and start doing some publishing on it and reporting the results. So we'll make those available. Kim is also a good contact person for that though too, because they're involved with it. Yeah, and we'll keep our affiliates involved who are working with hospitals. We have some affiliates that work exclusively with hospitals, and we have many of our affiliates who work both with manufacturing and with healthcare, with hospitals. So. For healthcare, no, we partner with Catalysis, and so this year there is a healthcare conference in London on October 2nd and 3rd. So I would, if you want to come to a healthcare conference on lean in healthcare, join us at that. We do an annual conference in the States, but the one in Europe has been going every other year on hospitals, yeah. So come join us. It's in Washington, D.C. in June. So we do an annual conference in the States. We've been doing one every other year here in Europe. We did the one in Amsterdam last fall. This year we were approached by PwC, who said, can you do a healthcare conference this year? And they said, we will volunteer our meeting space for your conference and give it to you for free if you do a conference this year. And so we said yes. So maybe if we can do that, get somebody to give us free space every year, we can do a conference every year in Europe, but we'll see. But we're doing one this year too, so looking forward to that. October 2nd and 3rd in London. PwC's building, I don't know where it is yet. That is not on the website yet, incidentally, on ours or on Catalysis's website, because it's just got scheduled, yes. But London. Other questions? It's not so far, after having flown from it. Yes. Well, and I was joking about that with Eric last night. I said, well, we would call it a European conference, but it's not going to be Europe anymore, is it? Who knows? It might be. So join us in Washington, D.C. then. Oh, what a mess. What a mess.
One of the things you mentioned in the successful transformation in operational excellence is a culture.
Yes.
And it's a complex and it's a very sensitive transformation area. What would you recommend to managers to succeed, or what you would see a key role of executives and managers in enabling culture?
In enabling. So you're using our words against us here, then that's good. That's good. Thank you. The best advice we can give to leaders is just to listen. When we use the principle lead with humility, we're not saying don't lead. Lead. You have to be. Your job is to lead. You have the responsibility of leadership, but listen. Be open to others' ideas. Help them, not force them. Help them. So you're a resource to them when they provide value to the patient. What do I need to do to help you provide more value to the patient? That's the attitude that the leader should have. And if they are listening, we find that is the most important thing, is if they're listening to the people. And there's different systems you can put in place to make that happen. We use a term in manufacturing. I'll tell you what it's usually used in the lean world is, we call it a Gembawak. Have you heard that term before? Okay. We in Shingo, because we tried to strip out all the Japanese terminology to make it more universally applicable, is we use the go and observe. So we encourage leaders to go and observe what's going on. Yeah, in the workplace where the service is happening, and then you can see the gaps between, they don't have what they need to do their job. So I need to help them get their resources so they can do their job. Or we're doing that the wrong way. We need to fix that system so they're doing it the right way. Or we're making it hard for them to do the right thing there. We got to make it easy for them to do the right. If you don't go out and observe what's going on, you don't ever see it.
Ken, I'm very sorry, but leaders are on the meetings all the time or reading the emails. Serve if they have no time because they...
Not us.
I know, I'm just theoretically speaking.
Absolutely not medical.
No. In case if we find the camp.
What was that question? You made a statement to me when we were on the phone a couple of weeks ago. You said, "See what I have to work with." Wasn't that what you said?
Yes,
okay.
This he's a troublemaker.
See what Isa has to work with.
He's in the meeting all the time.
No, you got to make time. I mean, it's that simple. You have to make time. There's nothing more important for you to do as a leader than to go observe and provide the help and support that the value creators are providing for your patients. And if you detach yourself from that, you're cut off from that flow of information, and you're not in a position to be able to help. So, turn your phone off for an hour. Go out and watch. Be with me, observe troublemaker.
In a positive way.
Yes, in a positive way. I hope this has been some help for you. I would love to see some great changes in healthcare systems around the world. We've been fortunate to be helping in some places. We'd like to see that in more places. I think that will be a blessing to your patients if you're able to improve the quality, reduce the cost, and create more value for them. So, yeah, we'd love to see that too. Although we have learned that assessing a hospital is much more difficult than assessing a manufacturing plant. But we have some really good people who are involved with healthcare who will come and can do an assessment when you're to the point you can do that. Thank you very much for having me. It's been great.